Good morning and welcome to a brand new weekend, and not just any weekend. It's the very last weekend of the month. After all the hustle, deadlines, and the full stretch of this month, today we get to exhale, reflect, and of course, dive into another important conversation on Ray's Breakfast. I'm your host for today. My name is Oluchi Omenka, and this morning I've been joined by my amazing co-anchors, Goodness Idehe and Triumph Akimboye. And together we're going to be exploring a topic that touches a very important sector in our country, digital literacy. Is it really a privilege for a few, or should it be a necessity for us? But before then, let's get to meet our ladies this beautiful Friday morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. What's happening to our harmony? It's already reduced, you know. It used to be, high pitch before. What's happening? People are hungry. You've not eaten. It's early morning. Okay, good morning, guys.
Good morning. This is the person causing it. It's fine. It's all right.
They have to be different, reading in it.
Hi, guys. How are you feeling today? It's the last weekend of the month of August.
I'm excited because this month has been a great one.
In 3 words, describe August.
I didn't experience it was going to be this good.
Okay, good. Another adjective to describe August. While she's still thinking, let me move to goodness. Goodness in 3 words, describe
Surprising.
August.
Yeah, it was surprising.
No, I can't take that's my own adjective. Surprising, filled with love, and smashing of goals.
I love that. It's interesting. How about you?
Faults failed me, but honestly, I want to say that August has been that month. Like I said, what encapsulated August is the fact that so many things that I did not expect happened in this very month, and is maybe like one of the months that I cannot forget in the history of time.
I will not forget August. I mean, just after July, just after a major thing I did, my birthday, August was like, oh, you want to be happy and it came with a lot of things. So you have described it as awesome and that. I'm grateful that, of course, I survived August. I'm hoping for a better September. But if I would use one word for August, it is screaming internally. I have been screaming internally throughout this August. It really did stretch me, right? It was a bit overwhelming. I had a number of things that I couldn't just place my hands on. Family problems, conditions to pay attention to, my health, my mental health, everything. But in all, I'm not going to take away the fact that I'm actually grateful to have survived. And it just makes me feel like you're actually stronger than any, circumstance that comes your way.
From what actually happens? Because I have a little glimpse into what is going on. What he actually taught me is out that regardless of whatever you're going through, you should not forget that you're actually still growing.
Yes.
So it might not always be green, because you might be expecting that, okay, after July ended, August. And not even forget that August is now even ending on a good note for you.
Yes.
Even though it wasn't, the way you expected it to be. So that was what I learned from
Thank you for learning from my experiences. Somebody once told me that your experiences will always serve as wisdom from people. So if you run away from it, you're running away from what could have been for other people as well. Well, enough of our gratitude. We'd also like to hear from our viewers. How has August been for you? In 3 words, drop on our YouTube comment section and let us know how it's been for you. We're going to take a short break now. When we come back, we'll head on to the newspaper review this morning. You don't want to miss this as well. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
I describe myself as a polyhumanitarian, someone who believes politics should be rooted in love for country and empathy for its people. I'm thrilled to introduce to you Politics Uncensored, a show dedicated to tackling the political challenges that matter most to Nigerians. This is more than just a show. It's a space for honest, unfiltered conversations about the issues that shape our nation. From policy reforms to elections, leadership tussles to governance at all levels, and the overall political landscape in Nigeria. We will dive deep into how politics is impacting our everyday lives. So join me on this journey as we challenge the status quo, spark dialogue, and work together to build a brighter future for Nigeria. Let's make our voices heard and drive the change we deserve.
All right, our dearest viewers, welcome back to Ray's Breakfast. Hashtag what are you saying? Remember, you are the main ingredient in all of our conversations, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on all of our discussions. Our phone lines are open. Please call us on 0702 500 7749 or 0701 424-2420. I'll take it again. 0702-500-7749 or 0701-424-2420. And our YouTube channel is at Official Upgrade TV. Click the subscribe button. Like, share the link to channel 145, and you'll see our beautiful faces every single day. Now let's take a look at the newspaper of today, and I'll be starting with Goodness with the Daily Trust.
All right, so looking at the Daily Trust, we have stories that's below the masthead. We really don't have so much. We have like graphical picture. Universities head for strike. We discussed this, that was yesterday, and even the previous day, that the ASU strike is not a strike that they can, keep on having like that every three months or every six months. If it's something that, okay, they need to take a time, right, to speak with the federal government or even the Ministry of Education, they should go ahead and do that. So from concerning their, let's say their issue or their chaos, talking about federal government now has allegedly says that there wasn't like an agreement, right? So it was just like a proposal. So between the ASU and the federal government, where the ASU members are claiming that as at 2009, there was a draft, like an agreement that was supposed to be done, but it has not been taken into effect. And we have, that was a few years back again, they had another agreement which was not meant. And they also have the issue of deductions in salaries, like when some lecturers are being paid, there's deductions which has not been returned. And we have some pension that's pensions arrears and even salaries backlogs that the federal government hasn't, given answers to. So for now, they've decided to go on mother of all strikes. That was like the title of it. So I'm wondering what the mother of all strike would be. Probably is like, is it a year?
Do you know what it gives me? This Bible verse that says, eyes have not seen.
No, ears have heard.
The amount of, is
number of money you're going to get. And okay, beside that, we have Kwankwaso and ACF, the Cry Alaba Rago Market demolition. Then below that, we have 420,000 Nigerian children at risk of malnutrition this year. I wanted to initiate that when you were asking that. Describe, okay, why was our voice when we were like doing the morning greeting down? So I wanted to say that malnutrition is actually skyrocketing in Nigeria, because UNICEF have come out to say that thousands of number of people are malnutrited because of the high rate of poverty in the country. And that's like something that we need to look into, especially the federal government. And below the newspaper, we have federal government hikes passport fees, second time in 1 year. This I could recollect because last year I had to renew my passport, right? That was around August or so. And I think I did it for 25,000 naira. I intentionally did it on time. Okay. Because the following month, they were going to increase it to 50,000. That was for the 5 years to 50,000. Then the 10 years to 100,000. And now,
Could you believe that? Not even could you believe. Imagine, it's not even a year gap. They are now increasing it to 5 years to 100,000, 10 years to 200,000. Meaning, to even get a passport self in Nigeria, it's not for the poor anymore. It's not for the rich people. So I really don't know what the government are looking into towards, hiking all these prices, because even passports is also a means of identity in the country.
Yes,
so.
it is. I wonder what the aim is. Are they trying to
They said they want
find
to curb
some
corruption.
other corruption? That's
Because
like
I
a
was
very,
actually looking at, I was going to, talk about
that's
that
like
news.
a weak response
So
to it. I was
saying
expecting
that,
to hear that you want to. Please go ahead.
They're saying that it was necessary to sustain quality, curb corruption, and ensure timely delivery.
That was the
travel
same thing
documents.
they gave when they increased it to 50,000. That they want to increase
This was
the
the same
quality
thing that they
of
said.
it. And now the same thing. Is it that
What
the
quality? Is it going to
quality
be made
they
of
did
gold?
before?
Funny how a lot of people,
I don't understand.
After getting those passports, they are not even able to travel with it before the whole thing expires, and then they have to buy another one and renew another one.
It's just
do
so
another
sad.
one.
Anyways, let's see what the Punch has for us this morning.
Okay, so let us look at the pages of the Punch News. We have the headline here that says, Tariff War, Federal Government Intervenes as State Discourse Rift Deepens. Writers to that story. Next, someone's meeting between State Energy Commissioners and discourse operators. Tariff reduction can't work. Tariff reduction can't work. Our focus on power sector reforms. This is coming from the commissioners. And then we have another one. NEC unveils roadmap for $1 trillion economy by 2030. Another one from NNPC. Long-term neglect injuring refineries revamp. And we have another one here that says federal government ASU clash over 2021 agreement. And we have quite a number, so I'm just going to take maybe like one more. This one here says, awaiting trial inmate feeding GOPS 114 billion naira, GOPS 14 billion naira in 8 months. So let me quickly talk about the one that I just mentioned now, how that they are coming out to say that awaiting trial inmates, because this was one thing that we talked about yesterday, but yesterday it was as regards the fact that there are quite the number of people in prison that they don't have anybody to represent them.
Yes.
So some people are in that prison, but they don't have the finance to actually be able to leave that situation. Now they are coming to say that the amount that they are spending on feeding is 14 billion naira. Now, I remember that I was...
To feed prisoners, to feed inmates, that seems a bit unbelievable. You know, I'm going to say that because we already know the quality of food that you give these people. So it's not proper meal. I mean, even the average person, how much do you eat?
They should do more investigation in that.
Regards
where
the
amount the fund is actually, whose private pocket is actually going to, because they're not using
all that money to eat. And that's a terrible, and that's a very sad one, because why would you come out to paint, well, let's also say allegedly, because we have to have proof to say things like this, but based on some things that we can put together, it doesn't even match up.
14 billion is a lot. 14 billion, not 14 million naira.
For
not
myself,
40 million.
That.
Interesting. In how many months? In 8 months?
An incredible story.
I'm looking at the months. 8 months. 8 years.
In 8 months.
They've got to be kidding me.
14 billion. Maybe, the whole country. But
what did they give them? 3-course meal.
Even though.
If that's the case, I think I'm going to be...
And that is the challenge that I'm having. The federal government will come out to say that, there is 14 billion. The people that are in charge will say that, because where is the 14 billion? What kind of... Because the quality of feeding, how they take care of these inmates is very, very terrible.
Yes, it is.
Only very few prisons that you see that they are well taken care of. But that's very serious.
Well, interesting stories. Let's see what The Guardian has to say very quickly. The major headline says, bad for business, surge in unruly fan conduct, match day violence plunge NPFL in crisis. Federal government approves lifetime salary for retiring senior officers. Nigeria facing malnutrition, 79% food insecurity. Food insecure, says federal government. Pardon me, says tertiary institutions on edge as ASU and SANIP, federal government field heightened strike fears. 2027, INEC fires back as ADC PDP demand probe of new voters record in Osun State. Above the major headline, we see again 2027, I'm not leaving NNPP, but I'm open to discussion, and this is from Kwakwa. So, you can't intimidate us, Osun workers tell federal government over withheld local government funds. And the last story here says NNPCL vows to revive refineries and shop for $60 billion to expand capacity. Oh, there's one more story, and that's the one like the below. It says kidnappers of Katsina couple daughter demands 600 million ransom. You know, I really always pray this prayer that, you know, we will never have to get to this kind of position. You know, maybe our family members or people close to us where you get into kidnap situations and then they demand for ransom. Because I'll tell you very personally, I used to have an auntie. Well, I still have her. She's alive. Thanks to God.
Thank God.
And of course, there was ransom that was required from of her, pardon me, when, you know, she was kidnapped. It was more like a one-chance thing, right? And I think, I've even forgotten how the story played out, but it was almost like they emptied her accounts. It wasn't like calling home. So the ransom was gotten from her directly. And it was a very, very sad story because she was pregnant at that point, right? I think she even lost baby later. This is just being very vulnerable, but I know the impact of having to go through things like this. And this happened in Katsina, story carried it, and it's just for us to be cautious and know, you know, the times that we're in, the country we live in, and how, of course, in being a security conscious, you have to be spiritual at this point, because that's my own take, honestly. As a girl,
be able to know where you
have to be,
So you just have to be very prayerful.
And to end this discussion on a very good note, it's about the 17-year-old girl, Nafisa Abdullah Aminu, who emerged world's best in English language skills at the 2025 Teen Eagle Global Finals in London. So at a reception in Abuja, the Minister of Education, that's Dr. Tunji Alausa, presented Nafisa with a check of 200,000 naira in recognition of her achievement. And this ceremony, of course, was attended by the Minister of State for Education and a number of other dignitaries. Yeah, this makes a lot of sense. I'm happy that she's been appreciated. I'm happy that she's getting the recognition that she needs. I remember watching Uwe's video saying that nobody's making noise about this. Nobody's having to highlight the fact that this is not just any awards. This is one for the top 1%, right? Talking about academic prowess now. So she needed all of that exposure in that sense, all of the financial benefits. Just the same way you give $100,000 to Falcons.
Yeah, I did not give her 100,000.
I mean, 200K. Let's not talk about the amount.
Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that.
I didn't want to go there very, very, very deliberately because I know you to bring another thing, but let's just be firstly happy that he's getting the recognition.
Better than none.
Exactly. And I think that they could do more. Not just, I mean, the Ministry of Education has done this. Other sectors can also do more. The president can give his own. Her state as well can give. So maybe when we add everything, it's now amount to something tangible because 200,000 naira is a great amount of money. And going back by this minimum wage story, so a number of things have been happening recently as regards minimum wage. Different states are taking up different initiatives. I think it was in Imo State. They increased theirs.
104, such a commendable. I wanted to commend him yesterday. I forgot.
You forgot to.
What was the name of the governor again? I wanted to commend the governor of Imo State yesterday because it was also the one that you remember that it was the one, the school graduation.
Yes,
in fact, we were seeing it in the news that Ondo State are about to like follow. Ondo State said that they are going to follow. They've already implemented
interesting.
So it's quite interesting.
You know, the state bodies are taking up responsibility.
I really want to commend Governor.
So that's the story that is happening now. So Lagos State chapter is now demanding for 150,000 naira minimum wage for Lagos State workers, following an increase in minimum wage by Imo and Eboin government. I know at a point it was actually increased from the 77,000. I've forgotten how, because I remember reading it in one of the stories at a point, and Lagos State was trying to increase. I don't know if they eventually did, but seeing that other eastern states are doing it, why not we, the cosmopolitan state of the nation?
But it's actually even very great. Other sector we be able to follow through, even the private sector, for example, in Imo States now, because usually when you even go for some jobs, they use like minimum wage as the standard. So I think it's quite
I think your minimum was like 103,000. Imagine a cleaner earning 103,000 from the 30,000 we're coming from to 77. I think it's a bit of progress. That malnourishment we're talking of, it will reduce drastically because they'll be able to afford some protein.
They even increase the doctors' in your salaries to about 500.
Depending on your level. So that 104 is like the minimum. So depending on your level, you're going to be earning more than that. So
that's what Asutu is fighting for. That for graduates assistant, they
and
should have at
assistant.
least above 200,000.
Talking about that,
then-
I want us to wrap this segment in the next 1 minute. You see, that graduate assistant position is already becoming not treasurable, lucrative in that sense anymore. I mean, growing up, it used to be like a thing of honor to want to be a graduate assistant if you graduate as the best graduating student or maybe a first-class student. But now, many of them are not looking towards that because how much are you going to pay me? Many of them don't even earn up to 200,000 and talk about their money being held for a very long time. So it's not encouraging. Before now, it was a thing of honor and pride to still want to serve in your university as a graduate assistant. But now, I remember the BGS. I don't want to go so personal, but it was like, I'm going on to greater heights, and that's not something that we need to have. Today's topic is about digital literacy, and it's of great importance for young people and everyone listening to us right now. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we're heading straight to our hot topic for today. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
I describe myself as a polyhumanitarian, someone who believes politics should be rooted in love for country and empathy for its people. I'm thrilled to introduce to you Politics Uncensored, a show dedicated to tackling the political challenges that matter most to Nigerians. This is more than just a show. It's a space for honest, unfiltered conversations about the issues that shape our nation. From policy reforms to elections, leadership tussles to governance at all levels, and the overall political landscape in Nigeria. We will dive deep into how politics is impacting our everyday lives. So join me on this journey as we challenge the status quo, spark dialogue, and work together to build a brighter future for Nigeria. Let's make our voices heard and drive the change we deserve.
Welcome back, our viewers. Today's topic has been titled Digital Literacy as a Necessity and Not a Privilege, Rethinking Youth Education. Today, we want to shine a light on a topic that directly affects our generation, digital literacy. Recently, at a diplomatic CSR roundtable in Abuja, the House of Representatives expressed concerns that millions of young Nigerians are being left out of the digital economy due to lack of skills, access, and even opportunities. Now, let's think about this for a moment. Nigeria is one of the youngest countries in the world, with more than half of our population under 30. Yet, many young people still don't have the digital skills needed to thrive in today's global economy. And in a world where technology shapes how we learn, work, and connect, shouldn't digital literacy be treated as a necessity and not a privilege? And this morning, we'll be rethinking what youth education look like in the digital age, beyond classroom, beyond certificates, and into real skills that can secure our place in the future. Of course, I'll be having this conversation with my ever insightful ladies, Goodness Idehe and Triumph Akimboe. You know, we always used to give facts and figures about what, Nigerians, the demography of Nigeria, how that we have more young people than old people. Recently, I was reading this morning, right while coming to work, there was this initiative from Japan, to create a particular area, city
Yeah,
for
Nigerians
Nigerian
come and
immigrants,
stay,
right? I think it was not just Nigeria, Tanzania, and some other countries. And so when somebody was analyzing it, he said, oh, you might think that this is great news, but it's just trying to let you know the problems we have in our own country. For example, currently in Japan, their demography has more of older people. And right, so that means they have this gap in trying to fill up in workplaces. So they have jobs, but they don't have people to do the jobs. So in Nigeria, we have people, but we don't have the jobs. So and many other African countries like that. So it's almost like an initiative that they want to really benefit from, and it's looking like, oh, we're trying to do something like collaboration. So I was just thinking about that and looking again at the figure, how that Nigeria has the most, the percentage of young people in Nigeria are a number as regards to older people.
Number.
Do you understand? Imagine having 60-70% of young people below 18. Shows that we have like real gems to actually tap into. We have a whole future to actually build. We have a whole generation to determine how it will be. So if we don't pay attention to young people, we are actually just trying to end our future in that sense. We are trying to not be futuristic or be real visionaries, because people who really care about their future starts with the younger people, with the people that they have on ground, because the older ones will eventually go, right? And I like how our station, just trying to blow our trumpet a little bit, Upgrade TV here is very youth focused, right? Tailored for young minds to express social concerns as it affects young people even more. Of course, this particular conversation has to do with digital literacy. And my first question here is, why do you think so many Nigerian youths are still excluded from the digital economy despite being digital native? Because let's not even lie. They've come out with the figures to also let us know that Nigerian youths, even with the fact that you think some of us are exposed to certain digital stuff, many of us are still excluded. And we clamor or tag ourselves as digital natives. Why do you think this is happening? Let's start the conversation from there.
Okay, so one thing I would love to start with is that as youths, or in a place like Nigeria, you mentioned Japan just now. Even if people want to grow into something, they don't have what they will use to make them grow. I think it's the same Japan. I was seeing a video of how that if you are maybe handicapped, maybe you have special people, disabilities.
Special needs, yeah.
Yeah, special needs, or maybe illness or something like that. So I was watching a video in that restaurant. It was robot that was attending to them. So the robot was speaking that I'm actually human, but I can't go to work. I am working from home. I can't actually go to work. Do you understand? So there is so much of things that is heavily embedded in the fact that what is the progress of the nation in itself? What progress are we making as a nation? Because that is what we actually translate into what we are going to be. That is what is going to translate into what we are going to be as a person.
All right, let me hear from goodness. What do you have to say as regards, why Nigerian youth still somehow is excluded from this whole economy stuff, even though we can give ourselves a lot of tags as digital natives, we have smartphones, we have access. Why does it feel like this gap is still very, very obvious?
Okay, starting with, right, when we are classifying the young ones, we will have to also classify those in the secondary school, right,
Yes.
even in the junior school. So if you look at it, there's always a root to a problem. The teachers we have in the schools, are they digitally literate, right? Because it's not just the youth that are out of schools, like universities. I think a larger percent of those that have graduated from universities are even the ones that have opportunities to learn to be digitally literate. Those in the secondary school will need a tutor, right? So they can't really learn by themselves. So if you look at the root cause of this, we have more of people also in the secondary and the junior. The teachers, first of all, they are not that literate, because most of the teachers we have in schools now are not even really those ones that are still in the young. We have the aged ones in the school teaching them. And during their own time, digital literacy was not a thing then. In their own time, what they see as a necessity was if you're able to read and write. But in this present day, right, what we see as a necessity is what digital literacy, which is like a contradiction between the two era of ages that are present in the world. So first of all, the teachers themselves in the school, right, needs to be digitally literate. And that can also give an edge to the upcoming young ones that are coming up. Then, aside that, do we have equipment in schools? So if the government is saying, oh, the youth, they're not, even though some of them seems like, okay, they are kind of digitally, we don't have, check government schools. How many government schools really have no digital equipment for their students? Like if you check the number of students we do have in government schools against the number of students we have in private schools, you see that number of students in government schools are more than those in the private school, in the private sector. So the first thing too, this duty also lies on the shoulder of the government to provide equipment for the students. If you don't provide equipment, how do they want to be digital literate, right? It's only those that are like rich, let me use, that can afford to get a tab, a laptop, and all those things. Somebody that the mother is selling pepper in the bus stop, or the mother, she's like part of those people that are cleaning the roads, assisting us to give good sanitation to the country. Do you think they can afford to? Do you know how much is the cost of a laptop now? If you even want to get a second-hand, fairly used good laptop, you'll be talking about hundreds of thousands, at least above 200,000 for you to get something that can do something well, right? So we need to look at these things. Fine, the economic in the country contributes to this because it's giving that gap of parents or even the youth to be able to get or lay their hands on this gadget to get digital literacy. So first thing, our teachers should be educated, well educated, not the one. I'm sorry to say that I'm going to expose this. So I was open to go for a WAEC, what they used to call it, something like a WAEC marking guide, right? So most of the teachers that were there, that were qualified to be a teacher, the WAEC body was initiating this digital aspect where you input results digitally, right? So they were trying to teach them through this screen, this large screen. I could see that even the teachers that were at the back, I came in, I was more like a gate crasher. Teachers that were at the back could not even see what they were teaching at the front, and even the screen was not even clear. And aside that, these teachers, some of them, they are good teachers, right? They can teach, but they're not digitally literate. One of them was even asking me, oh, this thing said, me, I'm tired. I cannot do all this one. I will give my daughter or give my son to help me to impute this, right? They didn't want to learn. Aside that, if you want to teach them, you just don't use a large number of crowd, giving them like a small screen to learn. And that's not even how to teach them on how to be digitally literate. So they should find the proper way of, you know, they say teachers, the young ones are the leaders of tomorrow. It's their, the destiny of this country actually lies on their shoulder. So the teachers first need to be digitally literate. And the government too need to work on the economic and also providing equipment for this young
You've
children.
spoken so well, goodness. I think Triumph has something to say. Okay,
yes, so you know, I was going to talk about the fact that the state of how Nigerian youth, how digital literate a Nigerian youth is going to be is heavily hinged on how advanced the environment, the technology, the space, the country is. If we are not getting a certain result as a person, as a country, it is based on what materials are you exposed to. Some of us were exposed to certain digital skills like very late in our lives. While for some, you know, if you want to get some digital courses now, do you know how much it takes to actually be able to afford to get them? So I just think that before we can come out to say that maybe we lack digital literacy skills, let us check our advancements as a nation, as a country, as a state, everything put together. So that's just, you know, my own point of view as regards the introduction before we go further.
Yeah, thank you so much for stating all of this. So this conversation is trying to look at how digital literacy is like a privilege to some and something that ought to be a necessity is now looking like a privilege. And I like how you've given a divide, the urban and rural areas. I remember our campus store, I think it was earlier this year, if I'm correct, yes. Our conversation was around digital tools, surveillance threats, or I've forgotten the title, but it was about digital tools, literacy, and of course how we can advance as a nation. And I remember my major emphasis during that panel session was how that there's a major divide in Nigeria that we do not pay attention to. Because many of us here are staying in urban areas, we're in Lagos, some are in Abuja, Port Harcourt, the somewhat advanced areas in Nigeria, it seems as though we even forget the kind of privileges that we have. Because if you go to rural areas, there is a terrible major divide. Some of these people do not even have access. You are even talking about the tools that you can't pay. These people don't even know that there are things like that. Like the illiteracy is terrible in various localities. I mean, think of the north, think of some places in the east, think of some places in the south as well. So I think firstly that the reason why we see this gap and this divide, honestly, is because we have somehow changed the definition. We think exposure, coming to the urban area now, we think exposure is the same as empowerment. In the urban area, some people are exposed to smartphones, to tablets. I mean, I think in my secondary school, then there's something we used to call cafe. People go to cyber cafe.
You pay for,
an hour, 30 minutes, pay 200. You just surf the internet. You know, things have actually evolved, right? But that access wasn't just all we needed. It was just exposure. There was no empowerment to it. We're just, oh, you can space bar, this one, that one. There was really nothing intentional about what we were learning. Let's even go back. I know we're going to go to that school area even much more. In school, our computer classes. I know some people, there are advanced schools today, and I'm thankful for that. But let's not even try to generalize it, because some schools are still not advanced. Some computer lessons, what did they teach you?
What did they teach you?
What do they?
Do you know the one funny thing that just came to my mind? You know that thing that when you finish, like maybe your GSS3, and then they're like, what do you want to go and learn? And then you say that you want to go to computer.
Computer training is almost like a waste of time in some areas. I'm sorry to say this.
Waste of time.
The major divide we see is that we see a lot of exposure. In some areas, that's urban, not rural now, because those ones are not even exposed. But there's no empowerment. And I'm going to give applause to a particular initiative I know in Nigeria, She Code Africa. I currently follow them and I follow all their work. It's a non-governmental organization, and their major aim is actually to introduce digital literacy, tech skills, non-tech skills, you know, to people. In fact, I really love how they've also focused not just on Gen Z girls that are trying to look for remote jobs online. No. It's literally every person, every young woman. Their recent campaign, I think, was in Ondo State. I saw the video. There was a woman who was backing her baby. I'm sure this woman should be in her 30s. Or maybe she looked quite elderly, and she was on the computer trying to learn a scheme. Like, this is what we're talking about. This is the kind of blueprint that many parastatals, many organizations should start following, so that divide we see. Do you understand? I mean, CSR have come out, they've had a meeting in Abuja to tell that there's a divide. But there's a solution that if everybody adopts, if many people, the responsible people adopt, we won't have this discussion. We have young people, we have a number of young people in Nigeria. If we do not pay attention to what should be a necessity, it will now look like it's a privilege for some. And it just even makes us look like we can't even stand in some areas. We can't do certain things. So She Code Africa does that, and some other, you know, parastatals and non-governmental organizations like that. But we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I even want us to understand what this digital literacy thing is. Is it just about using social media? Or what exactly does it mean to be illiterate digitally? And this is a question I want you to have in mind. We'll answer this once we come back from this short break. Stay tuned.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we will bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Welcome back, our valued viewers, this beautiful Friday morning. Today's hot topic is quite interesting and very needed at this point. We've titled it Digital Literacy as a Necessity and Not a Privilege, Rethinking Youth Education. Before we went on a short break, we're trying to analyze why there seems to be a very major gap, within the urban and the rural areas. And we've come to realize that it's because, people just see the exposure part of it without the empowerment. And that leads me to the next question. Why? Looking at digital literacy, something comes to mind. People feel like being illiterate digitally is just about using social media, right? I'm online. I'm not an illiterate with certain things, maybe Google, Excel, Google Sheets. Anything that you can pick in the computer world, if you can do one or two, you almost feel like I'm literate. But I think that it goes beyond that, right? And I want us to even open up and explore what exactly we should begin to look out for. So, I have some things here that I wrote down. And I said that, being digitally literate means that you're not just a consumer, right? You are also innovating. How many innovators do we have in our country amongst young people? Sometimes when I read some of the story of, Japanese, the Chinese, the Asian people that are very, very, very forward-thinking when it comes to tech innovations and everything. I'm like, we get this brain. We just never put the access and everything together to really make it come out, in fruition and, full time. And I was just thinking one time when a particular person in Bariga area, a young guy, he did something quite amazing, was very innovative. Maybe didn't have a lot of digital skills embedded in it, even though I feel like anything that you can innovate and think of, there's still always an application digitally if you just are open to it and if you just do much more research, right? So I think that one of the problems we have firstly is that the exposure is just consume. We consume a lot, we consume. So there's no innovation. And that's how to stifle growth. Even beyond digitally now, look at us as individuals. They say the highest point of learning is when you can recreate, right? Mm-hmm. There's a part of remembering. I think there's a hierarchy to it. You remember, you recall, you talk about it. But when I know that learning has occurred is when you can recreate. But what we see happen across, the landscape that we're in right now is that there's a lot of consuming. We just consume. Do you understand? On social media, we're surfing. We see a lot of content creators these days. But there's no innovation in that sense. And I do not even know who to blame at this point. Would I blame ourselves? Or would I blame the government? Or would I blame the economy? Or would I blame the society that we're in? I think it goes beyond that. And also, digital literacy also has to do with how we can protect ourselves from online scams. Mm-hmm. That's something people don't even talk about a lot. But a lot of scam happens online, and people still fall trap.
The same thing.
How to use digital platforms.
Exactly. So that means you are claiming to be digitally literate, but they are still scamming you. Why do you think these scammers are still even making waves? It's because there are still a lot of illiterates that do not even know how to go about this. So it goes beyond just consuming. It goes even into the proper knowledge of what happens in this space. And now you can also begin to start thinking of creating and making something for ourselves. So before I go to the next, let me hear what you have to say.
You mentioned, you made a very important point as regards the fact that sometimes we even think that we are literate when it comes to, you know, making use of digital platforms, which I think is very, very true.
Why does this feel personal?
So something funny happened, like maybe like about a month ago. So on a kind of platform that I am, I was telling you about the platform just before we started. So a particular person, because it's like a network, right? So if you have one person's number, so they were able to hack this certain person's account, and then this person kept on messaging every other person in the contact. So they are going to send a message like, hi, I uploaded some videos of you on this platform, or look at some pictures of you. And then they kept clicking on it. And as you click on it, your account is going to be hacked. Then I was surprised at the level of people that fell victim to these things. Because I'm like,
I thought you knew book.
Did you not know? Like, it was very shocking. It's just like you knowing, you know, your immediate friends, and then you're seeing them fall to this kind of scams. I'm like, how? If you message me, I usually get that message. In fact, I still got that message like 3 days ago. You know, I saw that this was like my auntie's message that came in that I check some videos of you on this website. What are videos of me looking for on the website? So I feel like as Nigerian youth, we actually subject and hold ourselves to the basic thing that, oh, I can operate a phone, I can scroll through social media. And meanwhile, it is much more than that. And my pain is, how then are we able to understand how to actually be literate about every part of the skill? Because if you cannot use an ordinary Instagram, for example, how are you going to be able to explore? Yesterday, we were talking about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics when we are talking about digital literacy. You know, digital literacy, STEM is involved, AI is involved.
Yes.
We've not even explored that point. And, you know, one thing that, a different side of the story that I have to this is how that we are actually not there. Even the one you were mentioning about, you know, the barricade, that maybe we get that kind of thing, maybe like once in a while.
Yes, we do.
Do you
We do
understand?
get
Once in a while.
Then we blow a lot of noise about it. We don't
And
see
that's
people
all.
taking it up as an initiative
that's
to
all.
open up. Before I allow Goodness to speak, there are comments we have on our YouTube page. And this is from Okpeagbe Okpeyemi. He says, good morning, Ways. This is a fantastic topic. Digital literacy is very important for all in this digital age, no matter what a child wants to learn in today's world. Digital literacy is essential. He says, this reminds me of a case in my 400 level. While many of courses were struggling with digital software for a course of study, the lecturer was insistent that we learn it because he had seen secondary school student, in Scotland learning the software that we 400 level students were struggling with. This is really relatable. It says, if both local and urban areas in Nigeria are not digital literate, the world, God, this last part is scary. It says the world will leave us far behind. And let us not say amen to that because we do not want that to happen. But thank you, Okpeyemi, for this comment. It makes us to reflect on what we're really doing as a nation. Let me hear Goodness talk before we move to the next.
For me, concerning this digital literacy, right, like you mentioned, that not just learning how to use some digital platforms, but how to use it safely. I think that's why they even introduced cybersecurity, right? So even this digital literacy is never really, okay, it is for the young people, right? But aside that, we're not going to leave behind those, the elderly ones, because even they themselves, you know, if they are digitally
serious on
if they are digitally literate, right, it could also help them in terms of, okay, let's say for instance, farmers now. If they are digitally literate, they could use probably a digital platform to get weather forecast on when to plant or when not to plant.
We have initiatives like that, but it's not many people that have plugged into it. I remember on this table, we had someone come talk to us about, you know, technology in farming, and the possibilities were endless. Like, oh, this is really happening, and these tools are available.
So how do
but
we
how many farmers are using it? Well, first, there's an accessibility problem because it costs a number. Is it farmers in the north that are still trying to struggle with bringing their products here?
The economic. And aside that, there was something that I found out. I think it's not even new thing. This telemedicine stuff that they do abroad, it doesn't really even work in Nigeria. Why? Because we are not digitally. These doctors, are they digitally literate? No. I've seen in government hospitals where
they want to research about something. Crying out loud. There's a patient there, you are carrying textbook, flipping through to see the definition of one name that probably a senior doctor mentioned, and you want to treat a patient. Like, we should grow beyond that. If you are digitally literate, there's something that, okay, you could even use your phone. If it's something that, okay, you're not new to, you don't know about it, right? Easily, can just type it in, flip through it. There are even some other learning platforms, right? This LMS. We're not even utilizing it in Nigeria because we don't even know how to use it. That's just the truth. We don't know how to use it, the learning mode system. But these are things that are being, introduced to even the younger ones in the country, outside the country, the country. You see young children that, okay, they want to turn in their assignment and everything. They do it on their phone and everything. And it's just very easy for them. So this digital literacy is very, very essential. Like I said, in the olden days, in the 90s, right, what was a necessity was ability to read and write. But now in this contemporary, a necessity is what? Digital literacy. Because why? The future of this country, lies and rests on the shoulder of the young ones.
Thank you very much, goodness. I love how that you have given us a snippet of solution, the young ones. And I think, I know you want to say some solutions, but we're wrapping up very quickly. So I'll just mention in 30 seconds, you say yours in 20 seconds, and then we'll bid our viewers farewell. So I think that the solution starts with the government and even schools. You mentioned firstly how that schools even need to start taking this as important as maths and English. Do you understand? The way everybody is clamoring, maths, English, A credits, if we make digital literacy courses also very important and have the tools accessible to people, because again, inaccessibility is a major problem. Some of these tools, they cost a lot to students that don't even have access to afford them. And of course, the government, that's why they come in. When we can't afford some of these things, you provide for it, you subsidize. That's how we can get better as a nation. And I remember Okwemi's word, we need to really be on the edge, else we'll be left behind as a nation. What does Triumph has to say?
Aside these beautiful solutions, and another solution that I would like to add is, as youths, learn to take up new roles, challenging roles. It breaks you, it makes you learn, and it makes you do better.
All right, thank you so much. Today's conversation has shown us that digital literacy isn't just about knowing how to use a smartphone or computer. It's about having the power to participate fully in today's world. So when young people are excluded, the entire nation loses potential innovators, creators, and even problem solvers. If we truly want to build a future where no one is left behind, then digital education must move from being a privilege for a few to a necessity for all. The time to rethink youth education is now, because the future is already digital. And this is how we close today's segment. It's been a wonderful week here on Raise Breakfast. We'll catch you again next week, Monday through to Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Usayome Sale from Ways Primetime. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?